Hello there! I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 recently. Just wanted to share some of my thoughts of it, do like a little bit of a review. First thoughts? It was good. Just like the first, so I basically got what I expected. One thing that this movie did a lot better than the first one was actually the emotions and the characters involved. Like, we actually got to learn a little bit more about these people that we didn't know in the first movie. For the most part, Drax didn't get as much development as we would have liked, but I feel like we understand him enough. He does talk a little bit more about his wife and daughter that he lost. So it was interesting to see more of that part of him besides the part that doesn't get the joke. Ironic, since he was hilarious in this movie. But everyone else really gets the screen time that they deserve. Like Rocket, we go a little bit more into his past and what happened to him, what made him the way he is, and how he acts the way he does, which is being a pain in the butt most of the time, as funny as he is. Even antagonist characters like Yondu and Nebula get a little bit more development than we would have thought. They almost become, without spoiling, somebody we can almost root for. But really the main focus of this movie is on Star-Lord finding his father, Ego, played by Kurt Russell. Now, when I first heard that Kurt Russell was going to be in this movie and that he was going to be playing Star-Lord's dad, I was really excited, and yeah, he did an awesome job. I almost believed that they were father and son. They just had really good chemistry together. But honestly, I'm saying it, everyone else has already said it, the best part of this movie is Baby Groot. Now, when Groot first died in the first movie, and we saw that he sprouted up as a new Groot, Groot 2, Groot Jr., whatever, at first I thought, oh, this is like the same Groot, he still has the memories, but in this movie, we still see that he has like the mentality of a child, which is funny, but it is kind of sad to think that now the original Groot is really dead. I couldn't help just have that like in the back of my mind, but Baby Groot was so adorable and so funny, and just, I want to have a little Groot! Is that too much to ask for? Now, if I were to have like a couple complaints about this movie, kind of a nitpick, one thing is that I'm sure we all heard Sylvester Stallone was in the movie. He was even in the opening credits, but without saying too much for spoilers, I was disappointed with his part. It wasn't as much as I thought it would be, especially for someone who was in the opening credits. And while we're on the subject, let's talk a little bit more about the opening credits. You know how awesome the credits in the first one were, with Come Get Your Love and Star-Lord waltzing through that desolate planet? Yeah, I don't want to go into details, I want you to see it for yourself, but I thought the opening credits of this movie was even better. Because it focused on Baby Groot! But another kind of negative I did have with it is that, how to say this the right way, one of the characters does something bad, and seems to face the repercussions of it, but then it ends up moving the plot along, and it ends up being okay anyway. Like, what he does actually leads into the climax. Like, it helps save the day, because one of the characters does something wrong, ends up being okay, which that just irked me a little bit. I know that's kind of a nitpick. I know these are anti-heroes. They're not perfect people at all, but that just kind of bugged me that when they started to have the consequences of their actions, I was thinking, well, I don't know who to root for now. Because yeah, I like these guys, they're funny, they're the main characters, but I'm also kind of rooting for the people who are after them because of what they did. Well, what only one of them did. But, nitpicking aside, it really is a lot like the first one, except in some ways even better. I think the only way that the first movie tops this is that when the first movie came out, none of us were really sure what to think of it. A lot of people thought this would be Marvel's first flop, and it surprised us by being a really fun, funny, and smart movie. So, the first one was in a way a little bit more of an event. It was more original. It gave us something we didn't know we wanted. While this movie was just a really good sequel, but it gave us more character and more emotion. So I'm really not sure. I guess this one was better. Well, I guess it's like comparing Empire Strikes Back to the first Star Wars. It's A New Hope is the first Star Wars, and it like what laid the groundwork for this entire universe. But most people agree that Empire is the better made movie. So it's just, there's no right or wrong answer to which one's better, honestly. But speaking of Empire Strikes Back, there were actually a couple instances that made me think like, oh, this is actually kind of like Empire, like a couple story beats, only like maybe two. This was definitely not a ripoff of Empire Strikes Back, but I couldn't help but think like if the director James Gunn was kind of thinking about it when he was making this. It's possible. It's kind of weird that all the 80s references Peter Quill makes, I don't know if he's ever referenced Star Wars. Well, when was he abducted? Was it in the early 80s? Had Return of the Jedi even come out yet? I don't know, but that's going off topic. Before I end this video, I would just like to point out the music again. The music was so great in this movie. I'll admit, I looked up the soundtrack before seeing it, and I thought it was just okay, but I knew once I saw the movie and saw the context of these songs, I would love it a lot better, and yeah, I did. They do such a good job of choosing the perfect or completely imperfect time to use these songs, whether it be an emotional moment or a relaxing song in an intense scene, and it just works so well. And it's amazing how these songs that are maybe like 40 years old by now perfectly align with what's happening in the movie or what the characters are feeling. And I know they do that on purpose. They write it and choose those songs specifically. But it just seems so flawless, just like with the first movie. So, there's really not that much more I can say with this without going in spoilers. So, I guess that'll be it for this video, and I'll just make a quick little spoiler video, go over my thoughts about the things that happened. So, go check out this movie. It's awesome. When I'm done making this, I'm probably going to go listen to the soundtrack again. So, see ya!